It's filming. Jam session.
Okay, this is Shaker Maker, take one. Video for YouTube. My buddy here, Patrick Lew, is going to sing it for us.
Word of Patrick and Greg Blues Band. So, it's our jam session on June 2nd, and we're going to sing this song. Basically, yeah.
To be somebody else, not where I have been. I'd like to build myself a house out of plasticine. Take along with me. I've been driving in my car with my friend Mr. Sam. Mr. Zane, Mr. Bad, who's living in my life. Shake along with me. Sorry that I just don't know. I thought I did, I heard you so. And you're happy when you're feeling fine. Maybe you know it's the right time. Yeah, you know it's the right time. Yeah, you know it's the right time. Yeah. Shake along with me. Shake along with me. Shake along with me. Alright, well, what do you think?
It was good. We're a good garage band. We're professional enough.
Alright, well, that's one of our songs we're working on from 2011 2012, basically.
Stay tuned for more. Thanks.
Alright, go ahead and turn it off.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Let's see how it turned out.
Good evening, Facebook and YouTube. This is gonna be a summary of why the original Patrick Lew Band from 2009 to 2012 did not work out. Actually, let me just mute my TV real quick. Actually, you know. Okay, so I was going to CSU East Bay from 2008 to 2011. I met some people who were a part of Patrick Lew Band or were in the previous lineup at some point, actually. And the first to join was, of course, Jeremy, and he did contribute to some things in Patrick Lew Band for the Let It Rise and Against record and stuff like that, you know. And he even wrote the music, or me and him co-wrote the music to the song Little Miss Preppy, which is a track I written about Ashley Tisdale, who was one of my Hollywood celebrity, oh, I love you, baby, kind of crush, basically, you know. And it was actually one of our most well-known tracks over the years, as looking back, you know. A part of the Patrick Lew Band legacy does include the song me and Jeremy did called Little Miss Preppy. And he contributed to some other ideas for that record, but somehow, you know, he wasn't, I didn't know where he was heading as far as things goes, you know, but I really like him though as a person. It was really a big transition because Eddie Blackburn just left 2 years prior to that, and I was struggling to find a way to rebuild this project in a totally different way, because the way Patrick Lew Band worked was we started in high school when I was 15 or 16 back in 2001, but we weren't called Patrick Lew Band at the time. We were experimenting with many different types of names like Samurai Sorcerers, Famiglia, Silent Minister, and all this, and Pretendo Box, Your Audio to Riot, Dexter Run. The list goes on. It wasn't until like after Power Trip disbanded, which was my previous band I did with Zach, Eddie involved as well, David, and Corey. And I hate to mention his name, Augusto. I really hate to mention these guys' names who I'm on bad terms with. But they were a part of history, so I have to give them credit, you know. And that band basically split in early 2008. So it was until like maybe like 6 or 7 months after that it was really Patrick Lew Band, which I announced on a MySpace blog or a SoundClick blog through the whole World Wide Web, the internet. And letting everyone know that I'm actually going to take a new project I'm going to do musically, but do it in a totally different kind of way, you know. The concept of Patrick Lew Band is basically, at the time, was not just a rock band or a garage band or your local cheap amateur sounding punk rock bar band, you know, but it was intended to be a multimedia concept, basically. It wasn't going to be something that it was just going to be, oh, let's play music together and blah, 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 this. It was going to be something that reached through many different types of mediums to empower other people in this world and just overcome the struggles of life, you know. And going back when Jeremy did his thing in Patrick Lew Band in 2009 for the Let It Rise and Against album, we were just trying to figure out how to record stuff and everything like that at the time. But somehow there was a lot of things which were personal and creatively different, which I'm not going to get into, that didn't work out, so he basically left right after that album was finished. I had two people who I thought were my friends. One of them I kind of do respect in some ways still, even though we've grown apart a hell of a lot since then. It was Little David and Greg, actually. I've known them since CSU East Bay. They were living in the same hometown I was living in at the time, called Antioch, you know. Antioch, California. Good old Antioch, you know. But the thing was, like, there was definitely a lack of unity in the Patrick Lew Band from 2009 to 2012. You know how Blink-182, not trying to compare myself to them, when they got back together, they were like, oh, we have these different projects, we have these different priorities in life, we have these other things going on, so let's just collaborate through our own studios at home, record everything part by part, send each other the files on email or Skype, and just copy and paste everything and make music that way. That's what Patrick Lew Band did from 2009 to 2012. And Greg and David were hired at, well, not David Arcel, David Hunter. Little David, who was David Hunter, and Greg were a part of Patrick Lew Band. And the reason why there was a lack of unity in Patrick Lew Band with the lineup, including Jeremy himself and me, Little David and Greg, and you know, we all lived in different parts of the Bay Area, so it was hard to get everyone in the same room together at the same time. Plus, we had a lot of different priorities in life, like projects and solo side projects and college, jobs, stuff like that, social life, you know. And I could totally understand that, of course, you know. But somehow, through the power of the digital world and technology we have now, we're able to record. We don't necessarily have to be a band and be in the same room together to make music. We could just fuck around on Skype and send each other part by part and cut and paste these ideas together. And that's what we did for Murder Bay in 2011, actually. I was going through a rough situation with you-know-who at the time, which I'm not going to get into, which you pretty much know the whole story now if you follow me throughout the years, of course. But the Tau Kappa Epsilon in UC Berkeley, or University of California, Berkeley, sent me an email saying, hey, you want to play a benefit concert for us guys and stuff like that. And I was really down for it because I haven't played a show since 2007 when Power Trip did their last and only tour locally, you know. And I contacted Little David, Greg about it. I kind of feel bad for like pressuring them or basically trying to persuade them to do the show with me, but they couldn't make it. At the time, I was very hurt, you know, because I really wanted to play a show, but I couldn't understand their reasons for it because, you know, they didn't have the time to do so. So I ended up emailing the chapter leader at UC Berkeley for TKE and Tau Kappa Epsilon, said that we couldn't do it, basically. So well, good luck to the show nonetheless, because the show must go on, you know. after Murder Bay, me and Greg and would do these secret shows in the Bay Area, and well, actually, me and Greg would do these secret shows in Antioch, California, in summer 2011, and our idea for Patrick Lew Band for this tour was, it was gonna be like a surprise tour, a secret concert tour. We're gonna be like playing in public places, like busking and shit like that, right? But the trick was, we were gonna videotape everything we played outside of our own garage or in our own house while we're doing a house show in front of like 5 or 10 people, and broadcast it later on YouTube and Facebook and all the other social media platforms out there, you know. And we did that, and I had a lot of fun doing it, honestly. Then suddenly I had to move back to San Francisco because I was gonna look for a job out there, actually, and just restart my life as an adult, really, you know what I mean? So basically, take off this hat. So after Murder Bay and those secret shows wrapped up, I was preparing for ideas which was going to be possibly the next Patrick Lew Band album, you know? And me and Greg had these discussions and stuff like that regarding the music, and I appointed him as the leader of the band, or one of the co-leaders of the band, actually, and David Hunter was going to be involved too. I'm not sure about my best friend Knuckles, aka David Arceo, what his role was at the time, but he was very keen on it, and also my former fiance was actually going to be a part of it too at one point, actually. She was living in Texas at the time, but the problem was, I brought the material I recorded it was stored on my hard drive. I showed it to Greg and stuff like that. Little David was absent throughout 95% of the sessions because he had, whatever reason it was, I don't remember, but he probably had his own things he wanted to do at the time. So this is an example of the lack of unity involved. But by 2012, my relationships with Greg and Faith and Little David were still cordial at this point. But then again, like, there was a lack of unity because I was living in San Francisco and I just moved back to the city I was born and raised in. Greg and David were in Antioch. Faith was in Texas, and the other David Arceo, was my homie for 10 years, was in Daly City. So there was no way we'd get across to do this kind of stuff together. But as time wore on, it turns out we only practiced maybe 3 times in 2012 or 4 times, and by this time it became apparent that, like, we weren't really on the same page with everything that was going on. The way that the old Patrick Lew Band worked was, and made it also implode at the same time, like what happened with Power Trip, was you have 5 or 6 different people of different types of backgrounds, different types of musical influences and stuff like that, and different mindsets and experience and priorities, and all that rolled into one band. Just couldn't really get everything to go as needed, and Patrick Lew Band was actually going through a lot of creative ups and downs, and there was a lot of hurt feelings and stuff like that. There was a lot of tensions, and there was things that Greg might have done that I still haven't really forgiven him for. Well, I actually did forgive him, but it still makes me cringe or really not speak of it in a very positive way in later years, because it became somewhat of a toxic environment for me and David Arceo, actually, because I was going to this one church, right? Because Greg and Little David converted me to Christianity at the time, because I was already a straight up atheist up to that point. And while it was cool being Christian for a while, it turns out that my experience with religion was sour because what I had to deal with Greg and Faith at the time, And I remember Greg said to me while we were driving back home one day, back to my parents' house, which originally where Patrick Lew Band recorded and did those house shows during that era. He said to me that my grandfather is burning in hell because he was not a Christian. He wasn't saved by Jesus. I was like, what the fuck was that all about? I was like really like pissed off at him for that, actually, because, like, I lost. If you know me very well, I lost my grandfather when I was 3 or 4, and that was like one of the most traumatic experiences I had to go through early on in life, you know. And I was really caught off guard by that. Then there was one time I was interested in actually becoming a church band member actually at Golden Hills. He told me flat out that that I'm not good enough to do it, and I was like really offended by that. I was so offended that like you're in my band, dude. You're like saying all this shit and talking down my musical talent, my abilities and stuff like that. Look at you, Greg. You never wrote an original song in your life. I'm gonna give you credit though. You're a talented musician, but you never wrote a goddamn original song in your life, dude. I mean, you know, I mean, not just that. I mean, like, if you want to make it in this business, you have to write your own tunes, bro. You know, and we did patch things up long afterwards, a couple weeks later, but then it turns out that this wasn't even really going anywhere. That's why the Patch Lew Band basically split by the end of 2012, and there was a lot of things that went on behind closed doors between me, Faith, David, Faith, me, Greg, David and Greg that I'm not going to get into, of course, but I cut ties with basically both Faith and Greg because of those reasons, you know, and they're very personal and they're very difficult to elaborate on because, you know, the more I talk about it, it's gonna really, you know, bring a lot of bad memories and skeletons in the closet, pretty much. You know, I mean, surprisingly, I've forgiven Faith and David for what they've done. No, Faith and Greg for what they did actually, but I still haven't like forgotten about what they've done actually. And you know, it was a really shitty situation for me, and I didn't really like it. Looking back, you know, it was a very toxic environment for me, and I didn't even wanted to play music for like 2 3 years straight because of what I was dealing with at the time. I mean, in 2012, because they didn't take the music I wanted to contribute to the band, I took instead formed Heavy Sigma, now known as Steel Lions, and did 2 records with them. But then suddenly there's like a lot of things up that which I already explained in previous video blogs and posts on Facebook that I didn't play music for like a couple years. Then I suddenly came back and I've been more rejuvenated than ever creatively and musically. You know, I'm very happy that I came back to music and not included Patrick Lew Band with Greg or Faith involved because, you know, it was not because they done more bad than good, you know, in the long run, and it's something that hasn't left me to this very day. Sadly to say, I forgive them for what they did, but I can't forget about it, you know. But you know, it doesn't excuse what they did, of course, you know. I mean, I choose not to deal with them for my own reasons, you know, of course. So now we are in the year 2016, and Patrick Lew Band already released 3 albums within 2015 and this year. It's like, holy shit, there's like a lot of creativity going on right here. So I'm really happy how things have turned out since I came back to music with Patrick Lew Band, and I'm doing diverse with Jim Jules and David Arceo, of course, and we're doing fine actually since we came back to the scene, you know, and I'm really happy for it. I'm forever grateful for all the things that happened since I got out of a very shitty situation and returned to the music scene in a more mature, don't give a fuck kind of attitude and just go with the flow kind of thing, and that's why I'm doing this today.